On the Studio 12 Podcast Network, this is the Andrew Monaco Show.
Champion Jace Sternberger joins me on the Andrew Monaco Show. I'm so glad to have Aggie tight end, NFL, and as we said, the champion, Birmingham Stallions. Jace, howdy, my friend.
Thank you for having me. Good to be back.
Jace, you're wearing the number 12. Is that on purpose?
It's not on purpose at all, but it's one of those things that's so suiting and fitting. It just kind of rolls. It just had to be. I had to stick with it. I didn't have a choice the first year because of just the way the league was ran and the organization, and Fox Sports kind of already had a predetermined number for me, and that's the number they gave me. And then, like I said, then it like when I started wearing it, I was like, wow, 12th man. I was like, this is awesome. And then go back even further, you know, my Miss Williams, she wrote an article on it back in the day when I was at A&M about my best friend who passed of cancer. You know, when he was actually buried, he was wearing my jersey number, which I wore 12 in 8th grade. It was the only time I wore that number too. Like I've only worn 12 a certain amount of times, and so it was just a weird thing how it all worked out that way.
Come on, to have an article written by Shireen Williams, are you kidding me? She's one of my absolute favorites, and there are few, if any, better than her covering the NFL.
Yeah, she's incredible. Like I said, I still follow her to this day.
The 12, this is what I love. Like I'm watching, I'm like, okay, Jace is 12, and then Braden Montgomery in baseball, wouldn't you know, he gets drafted 12th by the Boston Red Sox. I'm like, man, I don't believe in coincidences. I think it happens for a reason.
That Aggie network is real.
Did you get caught up in the baseball run to Omaha?
Yeah, so I'm a big bandwagon fan, especially once I get a root for somebody. You know, when I was at camp, I spent my time at Kansas. I've always been a basketball fan, but I fully indulged in KU hoops, and so whenever I got to A&M, you know, we were still pretty good in basketball the years I was here. I think we made one tournament run, maybe not. Maybe that was just my delusion. But baseball, I feel like we've always been pretty solid since I've been at A&M, and I'm always, anytime I can find a reason to talk trash to my other friends or other schools, I'm always going to cheer for A&M. And so, and like I said, I used to play baseball. I got burnt out. I did the crazy little league summers where I was playing 100 games and doing all that, and I just got overwhelmed. Not overwhelmed, I just got tired of it. But I'm a big Aggie baseball fan.
Well, I mean, there's Jace Laviolette, there's Jace Carter for basketball, but Jace, you kind of started it all with Jace Sternberger at tight end.
That's what I feel like the name Jace has done good to Texas A&M in the past couple of years. So I just hope we can at least keep one in the program, whether that's men or women.
Coming into this 2024 season, Jace, now it's the Mike Elco era. If you could talk about being on a team. Mike was the defensive coordinator, but what makes Mike Elco so special?
I think it's kind of a testament to who he is as a person, where, you know, he doesn't always need the limelight or need to be the center of attention because, like I said, as you would know more than anybody, you know, when Jimbo got hired, that was in every press clip, every article. Was not only was one how much A&M was paying him, but also just the caliber of coach he was and winning a national championship. And I feel like it's very easy for your coworkers to get kind of swept under the rug, and not in a negative way, but just, you know, at the end of the day, no one really wants to talk about you guys. Everybody wants to talk about Jimbo Fisher. And I feel like that's kind of his identity, is where he doesn't need to be the center of attention, but he's going to, regardless what he does, he's going to produce. And people in the past have asked me, like, what was our relationship like? Did we talk, this and that? And, you know, we really didn't, other than just, you know, a mutual respect for each other, because I like to think he recognized how hard I worked at practice and how much I took care in the weight room and did all my other stuff off the field, that where I just kind of had that respect of, you know, handling my business. But as we really never talked on the football field, but I admired him so much from afar, just because even in games that I feel like we didn't line up the best, or kind of games where we would be done with and be like, man, I can't believe we kept that close. Or even when we were playing Clemson and we were down 18 points, and the second half, it was like a new game, because we realized as an offense that Coach Elco, there's nobody, and I'll argue with this to anybody. Coach Elco makes the best second half adjustments better than any coach I've ever been around, and that's at any level, whether it's been NFL or, like I said, my time in college. And that was just something as an offense that we knew if we did our part, that Coach Elko was going to have our defense in a good position to where we were never going to get blown out. We were always going to be in the game. We were always going to have a chance to win. And so I feel like offensively, when you have that confidence and as it's growing, it kind of not only gives you a boost, but, one, it kind of brings the team together because you're recognizing and you're paying attention to the craft and the details that the defense is doing. And I think that's just something Coach Elko brought out in all of them. And, I ran around with a bunch of the defensive backs and most of the defensive players actually, and just the way that respect they had for Coach Elko, it just it kind of rubs off on you. Where, like I said, where he probably doesn't even realize of how big of a fan I was of his. And even when the rumors were that he was getting interviewed, I think it was after the first year at A&M, he got interviewed by Temple to be the head coach, and I was just like, I even told my dad, I'm like, man, if we lose Coach Elko, like that's going to be a huge loss. Like people don't understand how good he is. And I think that kind of goes with his character just because he's not the most now he is because I think he has to talk being a head coach. But back then, I was like, defense coordinator, you don't have to be in the media. You don't have to do all the, press tours and all the talking and show off your charisma and do all that. And I think now he has to because of the job that comes with it at A&M. But yeah, I think it is an amazing hire.
Did playing against an Elko defense make you a better tight end?
Yes, and I'm not gonna lie. If it was my own fault if I didn't get better at A&M, just as much as the workload that I had to do. So I honestly think I could have been out there against anybody and I was going to get better just because of how much they ran me every day. So I think that I was forced to be good at A&M, but it was more so that, and see, that's another thing, Elko gets all the credit for being the defensive coach, but his assistants that he hired did a really, really good job. And a name that nobody really talks about anymore. And again, he was young, but one, obviously Coach Mo, who's, I think he's assistant coach at Alabama now, but is Christian Parker, who was a assistant defensive backs coach. And, ever since he left coach, and he raves about Coach Elko because, like I said, Coach Elko really kind of brought him in the program. But, from here, Christian went to Green Bay with me actually. And then he's been like the DB's coach for the Broncos, and I mean he's a very well paid NFL coach now, and it's just like that guy. Those are the type of guys that Elko brings in. Like I know I'm not comparing it to Saban's coaching tree yet. I'm not getting ridiculous, but I would love to do a background check on all of the coaches that Coach Elko has brought in, and kept under his wing and where they are at now because. I promise you, they're all super successful. And if they're not at a head coaching job now or a head position coach job now, they will be in the next couple of years that's inevitable.
He lets his coaches coach. Not every head coach does that, do they?
And I think that's another thing that doesn't get talked about enough is coaches, like you said, coaches don't let their players coach. They think they do, but at the end of the day, they want to have that control. And it just, like I said, when you put trust in other people and it shows that you have confidence in them, it's only going to make them better. And so I think that's what he does a great job of. I'm sure he has this. Like I said, I haven't been to a practice this year. I haven't even met some of the new coaches yet, but I would imagine that they get free reign. To an extent, there's a standard, and it's like, however you have to get these guys to that standard, as long as we're doing it, the respectful way, then let's do it. And I feel like that's why schools like Duke were winning football games last year, and you're winning ACC Coach of the Year at, again, Duke. And so it's like, I think, like I said, that has to mean something.
Jace, can you take us through what the student athletes are going through now? Camp is over. Practice begins. For fans, how does fall camp, how does that differ from now practice leading up to week 1 against Notre Dame?
It starts with the mental. It's a big mental break because, camp is hard and it's hot, and especially where we're located in College Station, it doesn't do anybody any favors, especially from a heat standpoint. And so, it's not like you're dreading it every day, but it's like that you're going to have to be ultra positive to have a good day, because like I said, it's camp. After, the first week is cool. Everybody's taking pictures of you. Everybody's writing nice things about you, and all that's fun. But after you make a couple Instagram posts and you get your engagements, and you know what I'm saying, you still have 15 more practices left, and you're like, oh my gosh. And you're kind of just a constant sore. I've never been the one where I lose the track a day. I never got that deep into it, but it's like all the food tastes the same, even if you have a different food. Everybody just looks the same, and like I said, it's not even about that. Like, your teammates start to look. You're like, you are so ugly. Like, you just start thinking all these crazy things about your teammates. It's just like, I don't even want to be around you right now. But it's like, as soon as camp's over, it's like a complete switch. And like I said, not being inappropriate by any means, but I feel like it's because there's about to be other people back on campus, females, other males some of them who don't even care about football, which is like a breath of fresh air, because it's just like I've basically been in football prison, not in a bad way, but just in football prison for the past month, where I have really no connection to the outside world. And so just getting that breath of fresh air of like just fresh faces around. There's starting to be an excitement of games coming up, because, like, again, in August, or whenever camp starts, August 1st, it's like that first game seems like it's a year away. And it's like, because you're about to go through camp and the long days, long hours. But it's like, once you get under 14 days, it's like, oh my gosh, it's here. Now you're always supposed to practice with a purpose, but especially being a young college kid, you can kind of lose track of that at times. But when it's like, you feel like I said, you're under 2 weeks, it's like games are getting closer, where how I practice on, like, I was very superstitious, where it's like I would psych myself out basically if I didn't run hard and give everything I got on Monday and Tuesday, or whatever, Tuesday and Wednesday, but I think Monday was our off day. Maybe it was, I don't remember. Whatever. Whenever we didn't have our off day, I just knew that if I didn't run hard in practice, I wasn't going to be fast in the game. So it was like, it was just how you kind of convince yourself of these things. And it's like, well, you're practicing for something, because it's like, now I'm not practicing to play in the scrimmage on Sunday. Now I'm practicing because I'm about to go play in front of 110,000 people. And it's like, it's just a different, it's just a Showtime feeling. It's like, like it's here now. And so it's, I feel like it's a recharge of your battery. It's still going to be hard practices and intense, and you're trying to get better every day, but it's like, it's here now. It's not camp anymore. Camp is the worst. It's not even like it's not even about camp being hard. It's just like the energy it brings. And to this day, and like I said, my dad, his birthday is August 28th. As a football player, out of all months in the year, I hate August. I'll forever hate the month of August. I think it's the worst month ever, because I just think of football and how, like, camp, and it's just, like I said, NFL training camps are so easy. Like, it's so easy. Like, but I hate the month of August. That's why I love the spring football so much. Like, training camp in April is so much better than training camp in August. I think August is the worst month ever invented. There's nothing that comes from it, because you have 4th of July, and then it's just camp. You just know it's camp. Anxiety starts. You start to get nervous. September's great because college football starts, but August is I would love to take a poll on how many college kids hate the month of August. Football players hate August.
That's a brand new question now for me and players this season. That's what I'm going to be asking them.
And hey, I might be the most negative person ever. And everybody's like, "Oh, I love August," but I like, this isn't the first time I've spoken on this. I genuinely hate the month of August. I don't hate a lot of things. I hate the month of August.
That almost seemed cathartic to me. Like, you like, get it out, Jason, get it out.
Yeah, no, I genuinely hate the month. Like I said, my dad's birthday is August 28th. So, but now that they've added week 0, it's okay. Like, the last week of August, we can celebrate because we're finally done with August. But yeah, August has never been a fan.
First day of camp, I'm with Trev Alberts, and I asked Trev, "Hey, how did you like camp?" He said, "I love the first day. Ask me in day 4 or 5." Just what you
Yeah,
were
I'm telling you,
saying.
like I said, it's cool because you get a new. I mean, A&M, we're spoiled. We get new gear all the time, but camp, it's like you get all new football equipment, all this, and it's all exciting. I told you, everybody's smiling, taking pictures, and then yeah, then it wears off quick.
You have no light at the end of the tunnel during camp. And I know there's still another week, but now at practice, you get to focus a little bit more on the opponent. I know there's still work to be done individually, but now you get to focus on somebody else, don't you, this time of year?
Yep, exactly. And that changes everything because, like I said, now it's more we're working to get better. I'm not working to try to not embarrass my teammates, but at the end of the day, like you're trying to beat them to make yourself look better. Where now it's like you're going against the look team, and it's like you're worried about what defenses they're running because during camp you don't care what. Like I said, they could be running man blitz every play. Like you don't care. Like you're just running your plays, trying not to pass out, not trying to look dumb. Like you just want to get done, and then game week, it's like, okay, now let's start scheming up. Let's start coming up with a real game plan. And that just changes everything. That makes it so much better.
You came to A&M and you came at a time where the tight end was back in vogue in college football. That ended up being really good for you because not much earlier, Jace, with the spread, it was basically just tight end in name general, but you came in and it was that resurgence of the tight end, wasn't it?
Yeah, like I said, I was very fortunate for my situation. You know, my guy Ricky Seals would have been a tight end, and I think
Mm-hmm.
he played tight end in the league for a while. And in Jimbo's offense, I would have loved to see the numbers Ricky would have put up at A&M. But saying that, when Jimbo took over, there's really no tight ends on roster, and so to this day, spring ball is by far the hardest thing I've ever done, just because of how much I had to run every day because we didn't have any other tight ends. Because Trevor was there, but he was a grad transfer, so he couldn't even really do spring ball like that at first, and so I think he was a couple of days late, maybe not. Like I said, all my time practices run together at this point, but yeah, it was incredible. Like I said, it was so hard because, like I said, I ran so much just because, like I said, I was genuinely the only tight end. And Jimbo, he's not the most patient man, and so if Kellen wasn't making a good throw or doing something, and like Trevor was running around, or maybe one of the other freshmen who just hadn't figured things out yet, it was always, Jace, get in there and run this route so Kellen can get a look, or Jace, do this real quick, Jace, do that for me so I can see this real quick. And it's like no social awareness for how Jace feels, or like how I'm like dying. And it's like meanwhile I got Coach Brewster, like I got my neck would be drenched every day, not from sweat, but from his spit on the back of my neck because he's trying to tell me what to do every play. And it was yeah, it was a trip. I loved
In,
every
fa-
minute of it though.
in fairness, you left out probably a couple of words that Jimbo put in that sentence as he was yelling for you.
Yeah, I'll always do that because in today's world, he would have been like, yeah, who knows what happened if we were mic'd up all the time, and like how everything is these days. There's a reason there was a reason I was never mic'd up. If that can tell you anything, there's a reason. Not because, well, one, probably because of what I say. And quick side story, that's what's so funny. I'm mic'd up every game. Like I said, I played in the UFL, USFL slash for 2 years now, 24 games. I've been mic'd up all 24 games, and I still don't think they've played any footage from that comes from my from my clips. That's not like a cool brag. That's just like I'm not the most polite player, but yeah, it was more so for like Jimbo and Brewster's safety, because if I was mic'd up and I caught what they were saying to me every play, there's there's no telling how long Jimbo, that buyout might not have ever existed. It might have came sooner.
You know what I realized in camp? How much I missed hearing Mike Elco's voice on the field. The one that I absolutely miss, and I loved when the players would imitate. I miss TP's voice out there. I really do.
Yep.
But it's good to hear Mike's voice out there.
I say I can't even imagine. It's been so long. Like I said, and luckily I think hearing him yell in practice was like that meant I was doing good or offense was doing good because that meant he was upset. So I probably have a different feeling about his voice than some of his players because when I heard him yell, that probably meant we were doing good. Because like I said, I was so brainwashed by just hearing Jimbo and Brewster's voice. So any other voice was beautiful to hear.
Was Jim Hunter here when you were here? Offensive line coach? No one strung together curses like him. There were some that were together.
Jim Turner.
Jim Turner.
Yeah, Jim Turner. Yeah.
Yeah.
And crazy enough, he's been an offensive line coach for the spring league the past 2 years. So I've been around him still.
Yeah. There are combinations I'd never heard before. Like I bring out my phone and I'm like, oh, okay, that's a new one. I've never strung those together.
Yep. A whole new language.
Jace, take us into the tight end room and what that room does, how you work with one another, and then that transition from when you do that and then be in the room with, let's say, the offensive guys.
Tight end, it's evolving every year. There's more and more. It's just getting more and more athletic compared to back in the day where, there were still athletic freaks who could run and catch the ball and do all these things, but as a whole, I feel like they were more bigger guys who weren't big enough to play O-line. And that's not everybody because A&M still had some successful tight ends, but it's such a unique position and it's evolving in such a way where you literally have to be able to do everything from running with the ball, running without the ball, blocking, pass protection. You have to know all the protections. It comes with so much. And so it's a different kind of responsibility and a different type of standard that you have in the room just because even though granted, I did get a lot of media attention and I was really successful, like from a numbers standpoint, but that's not always the case. But that doesn't always speak for how good your tight end room is. Tight ends do a lot of dirty work behind the scenes that not in the same way O-line do because they are the most underappreciated position group in football. But not everybody sees what tight ends do, and so when you're in a room with other tight ends, it's like. It's not a sympathy, but you realize how much is on your guys' back and how much you guys are responsible for, even if the other people don't see it yet. And so I said it my year at A&M is like, if you have a good tight end, your offense there's no limit to how good your offense can be. And so I think when you translate that and the only way you can earn trust as a tight end is you make plays and you can be dependable and reliable and all that good stuff. And once you do that, it kind of meshes the offense together. So transferring over to when you're in the meetings with the O-line and stuff, it's like all the other positions they know that you have to do more than others. That's why it was so easy me to get the respect from like the receivers and stuff. Cause it's like, well, I am having to run block and the O-line were like, they would be working on me in my blocking, but then it was like I'd catch a ball and go for like 40, 50 yards. And then it's like I'm making them less tired. So now they like me more. And so it's kind of I like to think tight ends are more of a Swiss Army knife. And so like I said, I'm excited to see what these tight ends do this year, but if that's one of the most underrated / most important positions in football, I believe.
It's exciting because you almost set the standard. You know what I mean? Like we compare Jalen Weidemeyer to you. We'll compare Donovan Green to you. I mean, you left such an impression in just 1 year here at Texas A&M.
Yeah, and again, like I said, it was right place, right time. It was a good offense. Kellen was fresh, learning it, and like I said, I was just somebody Kellen could trust, and I just kind of capitalized on that. And again, I really was forced to be like that because I didn't have no choice in practice. I was the only one running those routes and ever doing all that stuff. And so, I definitely take great pride that I was able to kind of, resurrect the tight end position at A&M. And like I said, I'll forever be proud about that.
You talked Trevor Wood, and he came as a grad. I had learned that when transfers were coming in, if they were younger than 21, someone else took them. Older than 21, Gilly took them out. Is that true?
Yeah, Gilly was my host because I came from JUCO. So Gilly was my host for my visit, and that wasn't the reason I committed. I was already going to commit regardless because for people who haven't heard this part of my journey, David Beatty was the head coach at Kansas, and he came from Texas A&M. He was like an assistant receivers coach. And, Kansas is not what it was now. I was on the 0-12, 2-10 teams. We did beat Texas, but that's not important. But that whole time, when you're a new program trying to reestablish yourself, you have to have like short-term goals. And David Beatty coming from A&M, and then we had a transfer from A&M, Laquiviante Gonzalez. Basically, all these coaches did was talk about how great A&M was, and they would talk about the fans and this and that. And so, like, basically for 2 years, I just had A&M shoved down my throat every day of how good it was. And so as soon as that came on the table, I was like, I did not need any convincing. I was like, yeah, like, well, I had a free trial of recruitment for 2 years to A&M where I've learned everything about you. Like I knew about apartment complexes already, where people lived. Like I knew where to go, where not to go, what to eat. Like it was, yeah, it was 100%. It could have been, some people could say it was tampering in a way, not really, but one could think. But yeah, I'm serious. But yeah, Gilly was my host. We had a great time.
That 12 is special. Nana Dwodi Owusu is the 12 now. Jace, I love the way the 12th men rally around that. Like as soon as Nana was named, I couldn't wait to get on social media. And Sam and Gilly and Braden, they all have wrapped it up. It's such a special tradition, isn't it?
It definitely is a tradition like no other. I think it's not even the 12. I feel like, I think everybody who's played at A&M respects the 12 in such a way. It's where we're all excited to whoever it is. Like I said, not being disrespectful, but I've never, I didn't know the guy who just got named the 12th man, but it was like, what comes with that title and that responsibility. And so it's like, if Elco and players voted on that guy to be the job, it's like, he doesn't ever need to introduce himself or do anything. It's like you just automatically have that respect for that kid, and you just know what he stands for automatically. So it's almost like you do know him in a way, because you know what comes with the standard of being the 12th man. And so I think that's what's pretty cool about that is, like I said, a complete stranger who has no idea who it is. As soon as you see him get named 12th man, it's like, okay, I feel like I know him now.
Is that the ultimate compliment, Jace, to be voted on that by your teammates?
I would think so. Like I said, I didn't have the honor to vote for anybody just because Gilly was already it. But yeah, I would imagine that's probably pretty special.
Kyle Field, Lambeau Field. You talk about two iconic places in football. You got to play in both. How special is Lambeau?
It's special. It's all everything you could think of, from the nostalgic purposes to the aesthetics, like the color scheme and the grass, and it's surreal. And like I said, my first game where I actually played it wasn't a heavy snow, but it was like a light, like movie snow, like where it was something like it looked like it was in a movie, and it was beautiful. Like I said, that was probably the coolest game I've ever played in, and like just from an aesthetic standpoint, like for pictures and all that, like it was crazy. But it's still not better than Kyle Field. Like that's Kyle Field is unreal. That's why I'm so excited for. I really could care less what Texas fans think about Kyle Field when they come down here. But being from Oklahoma, I am excited for when OU finally does come to College Station. Not necessarily in the sense of like, oh yeah, you can see what we're about. Just so it's like, I feel like everybody wants to call A&M fans names and say that we're like we do the same stuff every year. We get super excited and blah blah blah, and we've never won anything, whatever. But it's like, as soon as people come to a game at Kyle Field, I feel like it's like a light switch. Like it just clicks for everybody, and they like understand like why we are the way we are. Because it's like you can't explain the. Like you go to a game at Kyle Field. Like granted, I always play them. But even when I go back and watch, I'm like emotionally drained after I leave a game, because it's like you have to like social detox for like a day or two. It's like, because it's so loud and it's so like normal people don't experience that like ever in their life. And like, yet we're crazy enough and we experience it 5 or 6 times a season. And like, that is, yeah, it's just like a crazy social experience. And so people don't understand until they've actually done it. Like I got Clemson, I've had friends who played at Clemson and where they talk about like when they came to when they played us in Kyle Field and the ground was shaking and this and everybody just wants to make fun of us for having yell leaders and stuff. But it's like, if you even just come to one game and you'll change everything you say about A&M. Like it's so silly.
I feel for a college football fan, it's a bucket list type place.
Yep.
Okay. First time running through the tunnel. Did you have chills?
Not really the first time, just because I was so locked in the moment. I mean, like it was cool, don't get me wrong, but no, Clemson was chills. That was chills. So like I said, I psyched myself up for games, and I was already psyched up for the first A&M game, but it was like I was so locked in on my job and what I had to do, I really didn't even get to take it in. Is basically what I'm trying to say. I didn't really get to take it in that way. Like I was so focused on Tim Brewster, like not yelling at me and like trying to win this first game. It was like then I had some success after the first game and all this. So I wasn't feeling myself, but I kind of settled in a little bit where I wasn't going to worry about the little stuff that I shouldn't be worried about. And so I really just took it in that whole week at Clemson. And then running out, I still got the video saved of the intro that some guy posted on Twitter of our walkout against Clemson. Like I watched that 2 nights ago in the car. I watch that all the time.
It's I asked Dale and Mack that, and he said, yeah, he goes, I wanted to take it all in. And then Otara Laka said, Dalen, you didn't take it all in. You're just slow. You were the last one out of the tunnel.
Yeah.
You're so slow.
No, that's true. That's yeah. Dalen always is going to, yeah, no, that's 100% true.
You're an offensive guy. You talk about the experience at Kyle Field. You don't have to announce to Aggies that it's third down on defense. So you, being on offense, that defense is out there on third down. There's a different buzz. There's a different level. And then, we're getting the ball back, right? I think that's something special. You don't need PA saying it's third down. Aggies know when it's third down on defense.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's kind of a double-bladed sword because it's like if a team converts on third down, you're like, they came to play today. Like this is going to be a battle. Because like I said, that's no joke. Because like I said, it's just ridiculously loud. We can talk about how loud it is. People won't understand until they're actually there. And like I said, I'm so glad I played for A&M and not any of the other SEC teams that had to play there because any games we played at, it was nothing as quite as loud.
How much terminology had to learn through all the schools and teams that you've played on?
So, say that again, I'm sorry.
How much terminology have you had to learn sometimes on the fly? Not just in college. You had to learn a lot of terminology with different teams, NFL, USFL, UFL.
Yeah, it's a constant, I'm constantly learning stuff. And so I've gotten to the point where I just ask a lot of questions. I'll be pretty upfront with people. It's like, hey, I just came from here. Logistics, terminology. I'm not like, you got to help me out. Or I just observe at first for a while because I don't even want to say it. But even the 12 games I played at A&M, I don't think I did the chant once at the end of the game where I knew the right words, just because everything was just so. My whole world was spinning every day at A&M, but yeah, learning the chants and the like, I still think I would probably freeze up if I had to say it out loud in public or something.
So you just sawed them off. You know what? You put yourself in between two people who are a little bit louder, and then you kind of learn it through osmosis.
I would be by Jimbo or Tyrell or Travion, and like I would just smile because I knew someone was taking a picture, so I was like, I'll just smile where it looks like where I know what I'm doing.
Were you part of the jersey swapping phase? Was that in the NFL at the time? And how cool was it to either be a teammate of an Aggie or go up against an Aggie during an NFL week?
Definitely, I was a part of the jersey swap. Trying to think though. Honestly, my rookie year, I didn't really play anybody from A&M that I could recall. That like I was teammates with because when we played against Dallas, me and Donovan were both hurt, so like neither of us were in jerseys or I was on IR. Maybe he was playing yet, but I feel like it was always something weird, like where it didn't cross up where we could do a jersey swap, and like I never played against Travion. Um, yeah, I was trying to think. None of my teammates, the year I played against Eric, it was COVID year. It was just always weird like that.
Mm-hmm.
But playing against those guys and just being on the same field, it was more like it was just like a good, like, I'm proud of you thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, we went through Jimbo's fall camp together. So it's like, it's good. It's glad to see you made it out on the other side.
You are not the first one to tell me that going to the NFL, I don't want to say easier because I understand the skill. Dave Elmendorf said it too. My partner on radio, he said playing for Gene Stallings when he did at A&M and then going to the Rams. When the first practice was over, Dave says, this is it. I think it also speaks to you were prepared for that as well, weren't you?
Definitely prepared. But yeah, I mean, it's not just Jimbo, it's a lot of college programs, but yeah, looking back at it, college practices is ridiculous. Like I can't even imagine. It makes me feel old saying that, but it really, I mean, I could still do it to this day if I had to, but I would not be as enthused. I wasn't even enthused back then doing it. I would be 10 times less enthused. I would be way more negative, way more sarcastic. Yeah, there's no way.
Following you on social media, here's what two things jump out at me. I'm going to go with the positive first. You will champion any teammate you've ever played with. You love being able to really, really put them in the forefront. That's admirable, man.
Yeah, I try to be, like I said, I know my friends and my close people will probably say otherwise. I don't like to talk about myself, but I do like to be a fan of all my people I've encountered. Like I said, I feel like that's what's part of the journey of football is you just, even, someone said it yesterday. It's like, I just can't stand it when, it's not even if you played football or not, but it's like when people just bash athletes because it's like, I don't know if it's because I've had a kid now, so I'm softer and I've like calmed down a little bit, but it's just like these kids, there's so much stress and anxieties and stuff that goes on behind the scenes. And it's like it's so hard to be it's hard to be successful at like in college and even in the pros. And so it's like I just respect everybody's craft, and it's like if everybody could be good, they would. And it's like when players make mistakes in games, it's like it's not like that's what they wanted to do, and it's not like when they trained, that's like what they did. And so I just try to see things from a different perspective. And it's like at the end of the day, I really do want everybody to be successful because, like I said, eventually that is going to be someone's dad. He's going to have to pay bills someday. He's going to have to do this. Like, you just want everybody to be in the best. You really don't want anyone to suffer, or even if it's like your biggest rival. Or that's why I'll never cheer for injuries or anything like that. But it's just, I really do want everybody to be successful.
That was part two. You have no patience for fools on social media.
I'm getting better. I've made a promise to myself because it's like, why am I getting so worked up with this? And because at the end of the day, like these guys just aren't gonna get it. But it is crazy to me. Like I wish, yeah, it really is crazy to me because I get so, yeah, I can get really aggravated. Where it's not like it's not like I'm taking them serious. It's more
Right.
so it's like, well, we're on Twitter, so if we're gonna be on Twitter, this is what we're gonna do. But
Right.
it's not like, and I hate pulling the card. It's like, well, I did this, you didn't, so you have to listen to me. But like, there's been so many times where I'm just like, dude, I will buy you a flight right now. I will take you to the football field. and I will put you through a workout. And if you can do it, I will never tweet you ever again, and I will let you live, and you can say whatever you want. But this is going to be filmed, and everybody on social media is going to get to watch this. And so, like, I just wish I love it because everybody gets freedom of speech. You can say whatever you want, cool for you. But it's like, there should still be some consequences, I think, for some people on Twitter who speak on certain things that they have no business speaking about. I get it. Like, I don't even care about the like guys who gamble sports betting and a player loses you money. You can say, oh, this guy sucks, or he stinks, or he's not very good. But it's like when you start like talking personal, and it's like I can tell it's like not all fun and games. Because like I've even done that where I'm just like, man, this dude is trash, or he's not this. But it's like I deep down don't believe that. Like I know he's actually good. Might have had a bad game or whatever, but it's like he's still a high level athlete, where it's like I don't think guys on Twitter at the end of the, they don't have that, like they don't understand like it, like what these people do and how hard it is, and just like yeah, I can get worked up on Twitter, but like I said, my goal is I'm not going to engage with any. I'll engage in like fun banter, because like there's some like Twitter accounts like I'm cool with like trash talking back and forth, but it's like I'm not gonna let anybody like, or I'm not gonna entertain anybody that actually makes me mad. I'm just gonna, I don't know, I'll probably pick up a hobby. I might start writing. I don't know what I'll do something else, but I'm just gonna read it. I'll probably just start sending laughy faces every time. That's I'm gonna be very passive aggressive this year on Twitter.
So the next time I see that laughy face, I know exactly what's going into that response.
Or I might just put a little like the praying hands, like where where they might think I'm agreeing with them, but deep down it's like I'm praying for you.
Okay, champ, how fulfilling is it to raise a trophy and be the last team standing?
It's been fun the past 2 years being able to do that. Not in the sense of like we're champions, this and that, and it's more so like a reward for the camaraderie and like the brotherhood that you've built. That's why I think team sports are so unique, because even if you have guys, like I said, I'm a back-to-back champ now, and we've had a couple guys who they were on the first champion team where it's like back-to-back, two-back. But it's like, regardless of, in college it's a little bit, but even with the transfer portal and NIL, it's not. It's a team is a 1-year relationship. And so it's like how I always find it amazing how close a team can become from winter workouts, fourth quarters to December bowl game. Because after those 12 months, nobody, that team will never be the same. You might have 80 of the 100 guys returning, but 20 of those guys are going to graduate. Like I said, they're going to start families. They're going to be in the real world. Like, and it might not sound like a lot, but it takes one guy to make a locker room. Like every team that you've ever been on, there's always one player that sticks out where it's like, man, this guy got me through some days where just him not even trying to be like super funny like this. It's just kind of how it happened, and where he's the one who makes the jokes, or he's the one you're looking forward to because he's going to make you laugh. And that's what's just so unique about teams to me, is because it's a 1-year test trial, and after that the team will never be the same again. And so I just think that like I said, it's really kind of crazy when you start thinking about it from that perspective. Is like, that's why when you see teams get super close and they have bought in, that's why I'll argue until I'm blue in the face, is that successful teams you have to have good team chemistry, or you'll never win anything. And that's why I was talking to somebody about this a while ago, but I still think and it's not the Orange Bowl's team's fault that COVID happened. It's not their fault. But from a team chemistry point, I still feel like the peak of Jimbo's 6 years or however many games he coached at A&M was our first year, and I'm not just saying that because I was playing there, but one is it was an older team. We all bought in. we were so close as a unit, offense and defense. We all like we weren't best friends after football. Like we weren't all hanging out doing all that, but it's like some of us were, and it just showed in the games because I feel like we won a lot of games that we probably shouldn't have, and some of our losses we could have won. I mean, everybody can say that too, but it was just a different feeling that where the COVID year kind of took away from Jimbo and then winning the Orange Bowl just because it was so weird with all the masks and where you could and couldn't go, and like you can't sit at the lunchroom with each other and you can't do this. And it was like it kind of took the camaraderie with like there's still that was probably still the obviously the most successful team at A&M was the Orange Bowl team, but like the fans, no one really got to like enjoy it because like I said, COVID was such a weird season for so many people. And so, like I said, that's why I loved my time at A&M just because our team was so fun. It was just the camaraderie, and so going back to like winning championships is I think that was just a testament to how close and that's what Skip preaches. How close can we become as a unit, as a family? Once the season starts, and that's why regardless of the situation we were in where we were losing by like 15 points in the semifinals and in the first quarter, and it's like no one blinked an eye because it was like we know what's going to happen. We're going to come back, and just because we trust each other. And so that's been the best thing about being a champion, is just being able to be on a team where we built those relationships we did. Is because like I said, the championship's cool, but it's like I'll never forget the relationships and the teammates that I've had. And so that's, to me, is the coolest part.
I always think about that, Jace, like the reunions that are to come with all those teams. I know you'll remember some of those games. You'll remember going through fall practice or going through like something you guys can bond. That's where the bonding is. It's not always the final score, is it? It's that shared experience, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, because it's like we're all experienced in the LSU 7 overtime game, and the guys who are out there making plays are going to remember that forever. But it's like, unfortunately, like I remember spring practice and stuff more, like literally limping home to Callaway because my hip flexor hurt so bad, and like Debbie and Renfro and Derek Tucker and Buddy Johnson, they were dang near like carrying me across the street, and then we'd all hang out in our apartments afterwards. Like those are the things like you don't ever forget. Like the games are a reward, but like I said, we're on the practice field more than we are the game field, and so it's like those memories you make on the behind the scenes are the ones that you'll cherish forever.
Like, how the heck does LSU not cover you in the 6th overtime?
Right. Again, not mad about it, but
no, absolutely
you would think
he's a pretty important player. Here's the best thing. The best thing about you playing in the spring is we get to see you at Kyle in the fall.
Exactly.
I look forward to catching up with you in person. I can't thank you enough for this time. I'm a huge fan, my friend. Thank you for doing this.
No, thank you for having me. You treated me amazing when I got to College Station, so I'm very appreciative.
Jace, thank you.
No problem.